All right, so it switched over right now.
Everybody duck.
Yeah, really.
Hey, yeah, it's working.
There we go.
All right, no like feedback or echo or anything.
No.
No echo that I can tell.
Why it wants to work over here, I don't know, and not on our new channel. We'll have to do some testing on that.
No echo that I can tell.
Now I hear it on the phone, but somebody's got the volume up on their
Someone's got the
machine.
stream on a little too loud, though.
Yeah, somebody's got to turn the stream down on the YouTube.
Now I hear it on the phone, but
Mike, do you have your YouTube audio up?
the volume up on their machine.
You got to turn your computer down, Mike.
It's Mikey's fault.
Yeah.
Sorry. I never realized how sensitive this thing is.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I was about to run outside and kill that fucking cat, then I realized it was yours.
Dude, we're live streaming. Hey.
Oh, damn.
There's 5 people watching. They're all us.
Probably.
I'm not a streamer.
Well, we can wait a few
Yak
minutes.
one.
Did you post it on LEM and everything?
Yeah.
God, Greg, you're just like laughing over there.
Hey, there we go. We hit 6.
And back
Woo,
to
6.
Oh, we're back down to 5.
Oh,
Damn it.
Troll.
I wonder where everyone
Somebody
went.
saw it and like, nope, I'm not watching this.
Well, I guess we'll at least have the video for people to watch later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
I'll
go.
be able to. I'll be able to
Hey,
take
we're back
this,
to 6.
download it, and put it onto MacYak afterwards.
Yeah.
So,
Let's give it a few more minutes, see what's up.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
oh yeah, we got 6 now. Woohoo!
Yay!
If anybody's in here right now, go ahead and say hi. We're going to start this off here in a few minutes. We're a little bit late and on the wrong channel, but we were having technical difficulties with the broadcast software on the...
I blame you, Greg.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's all my fault. It's Greg's fault.
No, just go ahead and blame me.
Why would we blame
Hi,
you?
Crippler X. How you doing?
Everybody blames me for everything, so why not?
Yeah, that's kind of our default mode. It just kind of happens.
And we're going to say hi to Crippler
Oh, it's Dan.
X.
Hi, Dan.
Is that Dan?
Power
Which
chicken.
Oh, Power Chicken. Uh-oh.
Oh, God. Dude.
That's not the one that jumps around a lot, right?
He's the one that keeps shooting us.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the only one that can kill Jay, right? Speaking of which, that's probably going to be a topic for next week.
What?
Gaming.
Oh, yeah.
Killing Jay
Mm-hmm.
or killing me.
We could do this and have the game in a little square in the bottom. While we play, we do this.
We could. But I have to figure that out, too, so...
Yeah.
There.
We got to figure out the Mac Yak thing yet. Why we can't stream over there? But
Why do you keep saying we? That's on you, man.
your manager's on there too.
You're the producer of the show.
I'm gonna
Great.
Then that makes you the
get some
director.
of that wonderful YouTube knowledge from Greg Rucke, or as we call him here, Grudy.
Yeah. I'm not the director. I'm just the pretty face of the channel.
Wow, terrifying.
Yeah. I had another suggestion, as you may have seen, but she hasn't called back yet.
All right, we got any other people besides Dan here?
Still at 6.
Yep, we were up to 7 for a second, but then it went back down to 6. Apparently, we're not that popular.
Greg,
Yes.
Yeah.
MacYak has a live stream on it now. It's
Does
streamed for 2 minutes.
What?
Is it streaming
Yeah,
now?
it did. It was what?
Not
No,
streaming.
it did.
But there's a 2-minute long video of it on here.
You're kidding me.
Oh,
It was streaming.
oh my God.
Oh, my God.
We'll figure this out sooner or later. I know it's all enabled because I made sure all that stuff was enabled.
Yeah. What happened is you ended the stream we were trying to stream and started a whole new one. The one we were trying to stream never started.
Ah. Maybe that's the reason why it doesn't like to do the... I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
Maybe you were trying to start 2 streams at once.
It's kind of annoying when it moves so much. Hey, you got to blame Apple for that. I cannot make the boxes stop moving.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish I could, because right now this is on my 2017 27-inch iMac, and I have enough space to put all 32 that supposedly we could put on there and not have the boxes like moving around and everything.
But they only allow 4 people to be large.
Even on my 27-inch iMac.
Yeah, we should all file a bug report.
Well, we should. I actually could. I should say, hey, look, why does it bounce around on an iMac? I mean, I can understand it doing it on an iPhone or iPad because of the screen real estate, but a 27-inch screen, I shouldn't have to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with you there. That is kind of silly. I mean, you've got more than enough screen space there. Like, I mean, even on my iPad, and now I have the 9.5-inch, so I can kind of understand it. But even so, just 5 of us, it really doesn't have to bounce around nearly as much as it does sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, do we want to start going over our topics? I mean, we got another viewer now. Oh, there we go. Some want to read my poem. What?
Yes, let's save that for never.
Let's probably get rid of this guy.
He's gone.
Sounds like a troll.
Yeah, enough trolling for one night.
Yeah. You timed him out for 300 seconds?
Yeah, I just clicked the first thing I saw.
Oh.
I could have made him a mod,
There we go.
Oh my God.
So, one of the things I was wondering to start off with is, what was the first Mac everybody owns? Not the first one you used, but the first one you owned. Whether you bought it or your parents got it for you or you got it gifted, doesn't matter. What's the first Mac you owned?
Perfect question.
Hey, David, how you doing?
Thompson.
Who wants to go first?
We'll go with Rutke.
All right.
Well, I actually have a video on this. We could always link a video to it too, but yeah, that would have to be after the live stream anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first Mac was my I don't know where it's over there. I'm not climbing over all the stuff to get to it right now. But it was my headless iMac G4 1 gigahertz, and it basically started my whole channel back off. So it's a very special system to me. I started using it with Leopard, and then got Tiger so I could run OS 9 apps, and then I ended up with 55 Macs.
Bada boom, bada boom.
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Mike?
The first one I ever owned was a 512K Enhanced.
Fancy.
I got it from my boss at McDonald's when I was in high school. And I did all of my high school paperwork on it. I had 2 floppy drives and an original image writer printer. You want to talk about painfully slow, and had disk swapping galore. But I loved it.
Yeah, we got some trolls coming in tonight, I guess. So, all right, Mike, is Mike going next?
Yeah, you can go next. I don't know if Rocky is back yet. So.
I'm still. Can you see me, or am I not showing up on screen?
I hear the blinker of your car, and that's about it.
Oh, well, yeah, it's because I was trying to be quiet, and
Yeah, that never works.
Currently, Rocky is driving his daughter home.
Yeah.
But GT, what was your first?
Well, Actually, the reason why I got into Macs was because of the iPhone. Believe it or not, I started out with the iPhone, and then I found out how Apple's ecosystem and everything. So I decided I wanted to get a Mac. So the first Mac I actually ever owned was an iMac Air, which Jay will probably go, but that was my first forte into the Mac world, and I got to love that operating system so much that I just kind of stopped using Windows completely. So, I mean, I still use it for certain things, and we'll talk about that probably next week. But I actually love the ease of use of it, and that was my first one was a Mac Air, and now I own several iMacs. I own a MacBook Pro. I own iPads, iPhones, Apple TV. I own everything Apple. I even have an Apple Watch. So that's what I started with. My first was a MacBook Air, 2011 MacBook Air. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, as people may gather, I'm not the biggest fan of the MacBook Air, but it's neither here nor there. What about you, Rocky? What was your first Mac that you owned?
The first one I owned was a hand-me-down Mac LC3, and it had the FBU upgrade as well as the RAM was upgraded. And I can't remember what the other card was. It had another upgrade card in it. And that thing had a CD caddy that I will never forget. That was the slowest way on the planet to load a CD in there. And then it had the newer version, the ink version, the Style Writer, that's what it was called, printer with it, and an original Apple monitor. Freaking loved it. OS 761 is what I ran on it.
Those were good.
Oh, and it had a Zip 100.
Nice. Who doesn't love a good zip drive?
Oh, no, that's right.
As for me, the first Mac I owned, I got it from my dad for graduating. It was a Power Mac G3 blue and white, and with macOS 8.5 or 8.6 on it. And it had the 17-inch blue and white display with it. Thing weighed a ton. It was awesome. I love that Mac. And
Am I the only one here that's ever used System 6?
No, I used
probably.
I've used
it. Okay.
I mean, as the designated old dude,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Greg T's the oldest, though.
We got...
no, I'm not older than Mike.
Let's see. Dan, his first Mac was a Performa 6116 CD.
That was a variation of the Power Mac 6100. That was a good machine.
Mm-hmm.
And David's first Mac was a non-unibody 15-inch Core 2 Duo MacBook Pro. Those were nice. I like those.
Give me a unibody. I don't like the prior models, personally.
Yeah. And we have a question in the chat from someone that I can't read the name of.
Cloister?
Cloister?
No. It's popping up.
Well, let's ask. Let's do Influsion's.
Yeah.
I accidentally deleted his.
Greg accidentally deleted it.
He deleted his trash can.
The name there, and I was like, it looked like a. I hate to say, but we've got some trolls in here tonight, and that was. Sorry.
I don't know how you delete your trash can. But
I've never been able to do that, so.
I don't think I've ever been able to do it
unless
either.
somehow the system permissions are severely messed up, you should not even be able to do that. I think the best way to get it back is to just reinstall your OS.
You know what you can do? He might have. Well, is it OS 9 or are we talking?
It's probably OS 10.
Because you can get rid of it in the dock.
You can't actually. I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I just tried. Yeah, you can't.
It's permanently attached to the dock.
Huh.
Yeah,
when you right click, it says there's two things: open or empty trash.
Okay. if you right-click and go to Dock Preferences,
There is. Okay.
I don't actually see any options for it on here.
All right, I'm going to quiet out as I go back upstairs to the office.
But it might be in Preferences. It's something I've never heard actually happening.
Yeah, because you can.
I don't think you can take it off of the dock, though. That's. I don't see any option in the dock to take the trash can off. So.
Yeah, it's a MacBook, so it's definitely OS 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the
only
rest of
thing you can do
your
is reinstall the OS because I don't think it's going to.
yeah, if the rest of your system is working fine, I would say grab the latest combo update for your particular system and install that first. See if that brings it back.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna have to reinstall. Dan is recommending Onyx.
Yeah, Onyx
might be able to do some maintenance, but be careful with using Onyx. It can be a pretty dangerous app to use from a data safety perspective. So.
That's a good question, David. Could it be one of those customization utilities, which could have, but I don't know. You're digging deep into the OS X system, so.
I don't know. I've used a few of those utilities, and I've never seen an option that says remove trash can from the dock. So, I don't know.
All right.
Try to update, then reinstall. See how that goes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm back.
So, as another topic, and this has been discussed in some of the Facebook groups and on other websites and stuff, is Apple still innovative? And there's a lot of angles we can take to yes or no, but I'm curious what y'all think.
I think they can be innovative, but I think, and this is my opinion here, is ever since Steve Jobs died, that the innovation has actually gone away because the only thing that they've ever come out with since he died was the Apple Watch. And to be honest with you, they haven't really done much with that in the last, 4 versions of it. I think they got 4 versions. Series, the original, the Series 2, Series 3, and then the Series 4, or whatever they call it now. But to be honest with you, I was expecting a whole lot more design changes on it, and the new watch didn't impress me. So the MacBook Air, okay, they made it look exactly like the MacBook Pros now. I mean, you can't tell the difference between them hardly, except for now one's a wedge and the other's not. It's got the same keyboard, the same display. They're all the same. So to me, that's not innovation. That's just basically taking stuff from another one and putting it in a display or a housing that you already had, and then calling it something new. But it's not new.
By the way,
that's not innovation.
Just to interject really quick, Dan, MacYak is actually the channel. We're just hosting it on here right now. So it's actually us. That's why I'm commenting on here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Innovation.
Right. The lack of...
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, and that was my opinion on it. So, I mean, what's you guys' opinion?
Rutke, are you drinking beer?
Yeah.
This is not going to end well.
He's going to be real innovative here soon.
Well, now that you can still speak, Rutke, what is your opinion on the matter?
Well, innovation in Apple. I guess
the beer is already in his brain.
Well, I wasn't listening when I was typing out earlier. Sorry. But yeah, innovation, like Greg was talking about with the MacBooks and stuff, it just really isn't there anymore because I watched a performance test between all three, the MacBook, MacBook Air, and Pro, and they actually perform quite similarly now. And especially like Greg said with the Air and the Pro, they're basically the same system now, just shaped slightly differently. And basically, Apple really needs to come up with some new device that really revolutionizes the world again. Otherwise, I think Apple might be hurting in the next few years because there's just no real innovation anymore. And it could really hurt them because being the top company in the world doesn't last forever.
No, absolutely not.
I agree with that.
And I saw an interesting video the other day of someone that made the argument Apple still innovates. People just use.
I think we lost Jay on the stream. No, on the stream, but you're still good here.
Paused out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Greg, if you click on his icon, it should bring his video back up. Anyway, keep talking, Jay. Ah. That's strange. I wonder why he's not showing up.
But his audio's still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Yay.
Now he's gone. Now he's back.
So if my audio came through, that was it.
Yes, your audio was there.
Wow. Well,
yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Jay. But you know, they need to. The problem is I think that their product line they have right now is just it's getting stale and it's getting too convoluted. For instance, like Greg just said, he watched a video of him testing the MacBook Air, the MacBook, and the MacBook Pro, all the low end versions, you know, against each other. And the MacBook basically almost came out, you know, on top, but because of the MacBook Pro and it's a little bit better for the value. I mean, there's only I think it's $100 difference between all three.
Yeah,
you know, so if I was somebody buying a new Mac, I would buy, you know, especially a laptop, I would probably buy the MacBook Pro. Yeah. Why even have the other two lines? Why have a MacBook Air or have a MacBook?
The silly thing about the Air, the fan's not even really connected to anything.
Right? It's just
exactly
it's just floating there. It's not doing anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why even have it?
As Cluster is saying in the chat, where's my new Mac Pro? Mm-hmm. I don't think, and I hope I'm wrong here. I hope to be pleasantly surprised, like the latest Venom movie. Pretty good. I hope Apple can surprise us with innovation on the Mac Pro, but I really don't see it happening.
Well, they keep saying it will be a 2019 model, so they'll be introducing it in 2019.
Yeah, but is it going to introduce?
Is it going to be a bigger trash can?
Like, wow, I didn't know that I wanted this. Is it going to be enough to make me want to abandon my 5,1 and immediately sell my kidney to go buy one? Because you know it's going to be 10 grand or 15.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's going to be. Well, the problem is they got people like Johnny Ives who doesn't do technology really well. He does the designs, the outside boxes of it. He doesn't. He thinks this is what people want, you know. And granted that, you know, the iMac, when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, the new iMac is pretty much what saved that company. I mean, they were this close to going, you know, into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that was probably the only time that design really. And then the new iMacs were decent too, but they made it to where you can't use your serviceable. Put any or do any servicing of the thing without tearing the thing apart.
Right.
So to be honest with you, the new iMac or the new Mac Pros that were in the trash can was a joke.
Yeah, and not even that is. And the guy was up on stage, said, "Innovation, my ass." Phil Schiller said, "No, it's not innovation. I got a cube that this is a direct evolution from. It's not innovation."
Mm-hmm.
And the cube, I can put a different processor and a different graphics card in, and
Yeah, but you can't do that in the new Mac Pro. And then they have the iMac
saying
Pro.
"Evolution, my ass," but no, that's not evolution.
Well, and then they have the iMac Pro, which is basically, I guess now it's a pro version of the iMac. Well, the iMac was originally designed for the non-pro users, and then you had the Pro line. Now they're kind of merging those lines again. They're blurring all their lines. They need to kind of separate back out again.
I'm worried that come this time next year, sorry, Apple is going to come on and say, guys, I know we said a new Mac Pro was coming, but the sales numbers of the iMac Pro and the Pro feedback we're getting is so good, we really don't see the point. And I
agree.
I hate to think that way, but I think Apple's going to screw us like that. And again, I hope I'm wrong. But
I hope you're wrong too, because
I would love to buy a 2019 Mac Pro when I turn 60 and I can afford it, but at least I'll have something to look forward to.
You got to wait till they come down in price, right?
Yeah, just go to my boss and say I need a raise of about 100,000 because.
Or you can have the Patreons, pay for your stuff, but you got to get 5,000 Patreons,
Yeah. I think I'm 1% there.
But Rocky, you've been pretty quiet, and Mike.
Yeah. Well, I agree with a lot of what's been saying, and I think that's a pretty general census. The unfortunate reality is you have about 3 types of Apple users, I would say. Now, that's making it very general, very broad. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But you're going to have your foo-foo user who uses it because it's an Apple. It's cute. Oh, I like it. And that's fine. That's fine for them. I'm glad they like it. Here's your iMac. Here's your MacBook Air. Enjoy. Not saying all of them use them in that order. You have your power users, which want the Mac Pros. They want the iMac Pros with preferably removable screen. That's not going to shock you. And then you've got people in between where you want something that's, they just want something that works. And they want it to be easy. Something for somebody like my grandma. Because having her on the other option was a nightmare. So, Apple, if I don't see a problem with them having 3 brand segments, I see a problem with them not defining them distinctly in each category. They should have their laptop 3 brand segments. They should have their desktop 3 brand segments. They should have their all-in-one 3 brand segments, and stop mishmashing, like you said. It's obnoxious. It's not innovative. It's not new. It's just like everybody else and what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry about the
one of the things I loved when Jobs came back to Apple. He scrapped 80% of their lineup and said, let's focus on this. And what did you see after he dies? Not long after, you had, and I was working at Apple at the time, and I could see the stores transform. Like, you used to have your table with your MacBooks, your MacBook Pros, and then the iMacs, and that suddenly shifted. Now you had 2 tables with iPhones and iPads. Then another section of the store had to be rebuilt just to accommodate all the Apple Watch and Band options. And we are back to having way more crap than we need. If you give people too much choice, nobody's going to get what they want. Someone needs to step in and say, oh, this is cute. Gone. Oh, MacBook. Useless. Gone. Focus on the good stuff.
And I totally agree with you, because I just got finished watching one of those movies, about Steve Jobs and stuff, where when Apple was going downhill and hemorrhaging money and stuff, I mean, they had a bazillion different products out there. I mean, there were so many Macintosh versions and Apple 2Es, 2Cs, 2 whatever. They had so much stuff out there. The Newton, they had the Pippin, they had a whole bunch of other different things that were out there that just, it was like nobody knew what the hell to get because it was so convoluted. And like you just said, Steve Jobs trimmed all that stuff and said, we're going back to the 4 basics. We're going, to a pro desktop, a pro laptop, a consumer desktop, and a consumer laptop. And that was the 4, because he put the little square. I remember watching that keynote where he put the 4 boxes up there and said, this is the core base that Apple's going to be, It
was a great keynote.
Yeah.
And especially, that was the one with education where he rolled out a whole wall of iMacs, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
But, I mean, there was just a ton of different stuff, and then that's actually what I think brought Apple back, is going back to the basics,
Yeah.
And now we have all these different things, you got your Apple TV, you got your Apple Watch, you got the iPhone, you got the iPad Pro, you got iMac, you've got MacBook Pro, MacBook Air. I mean, I'm still counting stuff, and
all the variants of those categories. It's too
exactly
much. But to make it worse, or maybe better, I think that's Noah. Athlon is Noah.
Yeah, Noah.
He says, "Do you think they should move back to the display market?" And a year ago, I would have said yes, because I like the Apple displays. But now, where everything is horrendous, I pay $1,200 for an iPhone. I'm afraid that if they would step back into the display market, they would offer a 17-inch for $5,000 or something, and find some bullshit reason to sell it as such.
So because it's got aluminum around it or something.
Yeah, and it's probably a notch in the top too.
What scares me about that is, like you said, a year ago you would have agreed that they should.
Yeah.
But they don't really have anything to plug it into right now other than an iMac or a MacBook.
Yeah.
And people don't buy Apple displays unless they're buying a Mac usually. They don't buy them for a PC. Right. So,
well, let's talk about the innovation of the iPhone, okay? Because what did they do with the iPhone? They took away the headphone jack. I mean, to be honest with you, that was the dumbest move ever.
Innovation.
That's not innovation. I mean, them getting rid of the floppy drive and the CD drive, I can see that because, you know what? We went to digital media. We went to thumb drives and stuff like that, So that I can see. But you know what? The headphone jack's been around for way longer than iPhones and computers have been.
USB-C.
Huh?
USB-C.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another issue, because Apple has a proprietary Lightning jack on their iPhones. But guess what? The new iPad Pro has a USB-C port on it now. Yeah. So now, guess what? Everybody's got to go get new cables and stuff. It's a never-ending struggle.
Oh, the amount of money they make from the dongles is preposterous. And
it is.
3.5 inch is not this. There's actually, I think it was one of iJustine's video where she says, and that's actually the only bad thing I've ever heard her say about Apple, ever, is that when she's editing video, the wireless headphones are not fast enough to sync the sound to the video. So she's been doing it long enough to know that there's a split-second delay that she can account for, but there's definitely still a need for 3.5 inch, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, will be for a long time.
Not dead yet.
You should have seen me last week trying to hook up a microphone to my iPhone. Oh my God, it was horrendous.
Well, yeah, because I remember you trying that, and it was a pain in the butt. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the new MacBooks Pros still have a headphone jack. However, the new MacBook or the iPad Pro doesn't.
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
And then they don't. Then they don't sell a thing where you can actually charge it and listen to stuff at the same time.
Yeah, and that's
an adapter for that.
Yeah.
Well,
here for it. What does Mike have to say about all this?
True, yeah.
Truthfully,
I think we just woke him up.
no, I've been sitting here listening intently because I'm absorbing all this opinion here, and I'm they're back in the same hole they were in back in the '90s. It's there's no other way to say it. They're going to end up tanking the company if they don't come up with something soon because all they're doing is they're just rehashing the same crap that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can have a new iPhone, you can have a new MacBook, you can have a new Mac Pro, whatever. Everything's going to be the same. It's going to be the same thing that we've had. I mean, the iMac's been around since correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, 98, 99?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, now granted, I mean, it's gone a lot of iterations, but the one that we have now is basically more or less just a grandchild of the iMac G5. Yeah, it looks different. It's got different specs in it. It's the same damn thing. I mean, they've got great machines, but they're saturating their own market is what they're doing. And this is exactly what happened when Jobs came back in the '90s.
Yeah.
They had saturated their own market. At one point in time in the '90s, there was 21 different models of computer from Apple on sale at the same time. And they were just basically slightly different versions of one core product line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what eventually ended up almost putting them into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And they're $1 billion company now. They have a lot more cash, a lot more resources now than they did then. But it's not going to last forever. And eventually people are going to wise up and they're going to realize, oh, wow, this is the same crap that I've got sitting on my desk. I mean, I've got a MacBook sitting in front of me from 2008 and it still works just fine.
Oh, yeah.
So why do I need to go and buy a brand new computer? This is exactly what people are going to be doing. And eventually they're going to realize that they're going to end up killing themselves. So how many iPhone models they have on sale now? 4? 3?
Depending on the market.
Let me see. They have the XR, the XS, the X is still for sale. The iPhone 8 is still for sale. The 8 Plus.
Yeah, don't forget all the Plus models.
Yeah,
so
still in the 7 too.
5 or whatever they call that, the iPhone Special Edition SE. They got rid of that.
They don't sell that anymore.
Yeah, so
they got rid of the SE and the 6S.
No, they don't have those for sale anymore either.
That's what I'm saying. So
they have 5.
They have five different iPhone models.
Yeah,
for sale right now. So you walk into a phone store, you look and it's like, holy crap! When I walked into a phone store, I had a choice of an iPhone 3 or a 3GS. And the only reason I still had the 3 is for the poor people who couldn't afford the 3GS.
Yeah.
So, and back then, I mean, if I remember, I think an iPhone 3 was like $299 and a 3GS was like $499.
Well, that's if you subsidized it with your plan, but
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was back when AT&T was the only carrier.
I remember that. I started out with the iPhone 3G, but
and then I ended up buying a BlackBerry, so it didn't matter. Because the BlackBerry was like $179, So, but they're going to end up putting themselves in a hole. They're not innovating anything. We haven't had a new product really since I would have to say the announcement. Yeah, the Apple Watch, or I can't even say the new Mac Pro was even technically a new product. It's just a continuation. It's just a continuation of an existing line that they shouldn't have. That was one line that they should have left alone.
Well,
okay, I understand they wanted to update it and bring it into the new decade, which is great and everything. But that was one machine that people bought because it was a utilitarian machine. It was like the battle wagon, and you could do anything you wanted with this thing, and nobody cared. Now they got this stupid little thing. I wouldn't even call it a trash can. I wouldn't even use it as a trash can. It's too damn small.
Can't even fit a bag in there.
Yeah.
You know, I would call it a can of beans or something. You know, but you know, it's a great. I'm sure it's a great machine. I don't have any experience with it. I'm sure it's very powerful, very fast. You know, but you know, what about people who have options? You know, that they have installed in their Pro 5 ones. You know, it's like they can't use any of that stuff now. That's not really
Well,
innovation. That's just driving your customers into PCs.
and just think of this too: the new Mac Mini that they just announced. Okay, which basically is, to be honest with you, it's overpriced for what's in the thing. You know, when you get the base model and stuff. And you really can't do much upgrading on it either, because the only thing you can really upgrade is the memory.
Yeah.
And not all systems can do that.
Exactly.
So moving on
Yeah.
to a plug, if you will. I don't know how many people currently watching the stream are in low-end Mac, and they might already be familiar with this, but I think everybody project he's been working on called the Mux Hat. It's for the, correct me if I'm wrong, the 2011 15-inch MacBook Pro and
Yeah.
17-inch
Yeah.
to permanently disable the dedicated graphics card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he developed a little, I'm not going to call it a chip, I don't know what the right word is.
It's just a little PC board that basically reroutes all the wires that he had in there. Instead, it's all on a board now.
Right. So instead of running jumper wires all over the board for 2-3 hours, you solder this thing on. You only have to run, I think, 3 jumper wires. Apart from that, remove 2 capacitors, and your faulty graphics card is permanently disabled. So we're going to put a link in the description when it's done. We had it all prepared for the other live stream, but the other channel didn't work the way it should. So if you
Once I move the video over to the other channel, I will put all those links in there.
Yeah.
They'll be in the bottom down there.
Yeah, and this is also in conjunction with his friend Chad Baxter.
Yes.
Want to include that in there.
Yeah. His
They're
friend
going
Chad
together.
is also known as Logo iLab. He's a friend of Colin's that's in Germany, and together they've made this. And that ties into Dying Light, which you may also have seen on low-end Mac, which is a little PCB board. Because when you put the Mux Hat in a system, it disables your backlight control for the display. So there's a separate board that you can solder in there that gives you the backlight controls back in your now fixed Mac. So it's you can use them, or you can use the Mux Hat on its own, or you can use it in conjunction with Dying Light. But I think it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than having a board replacement done, if you can even find a board with a good GPU.
Yeah.
And the new GPU would just die eventually anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you're in low-end Mac, do a search for Mux Hat and Dying Light, or wait for us to publish the video in the other channel and click the links there.
Yay, DOS Lab team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think it's a great contribution to the community that we're in.
It is indeed.
And
it is.
That's why I wanted to do a little
lot.
highlight on it. So, thanks, dudes.
Yeah.
If you're ever watching this.
So what's next, Jay?
I'm just reading up on the chat.
I'd like to, but my MacBook died.
We got Daryl on here. David is actually sending his 17-inch 2011 to him for the Mux Hat. Are you going to do the Mux Hat or the Dying Lights? Or, I mean, both?
Yeah.
David.
Mux Hat or both? Let's see here. So do you guys think Tim Cook will leave a lasting legacy?
I think he's going to leave the same legacy Gil Amelio did.
Yeah.
I was about to say, his legacy, he's going to have both the Mux Hat and Dying Light done. That's cool. I'm looking forward to a video on that.
That'd be awesome.
I think right now, so far, his legacy is not great.
No.
And
I
unless
have
he
to
comes
agree.
out with a radical new product, I don't think he's going to make his mark in the way Steve Jobs ever did.
No.
I think the problem with Tim Cook is he's worried more about everything else outside of Apple instead of Apple.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they got these two robots that take things apart, but you really believe that those two things are taking all those thousands of iPhones apart? No.
It's called a sledgehammer.
That's what I'm thinking. It's probably being put in a big old freaking grinder, and it's grinding all this stuff up.
Well, that's something that people hated about the pre-Cook Apple is that it was very secretive, and Steve Jobs didn't really care about public image. But you know what? Cook is so focused on PR and how Apple looks in the world. And oh, there's that cat again. Oh my god.
Like,
Sorry, my wife opened the door.
That's not your wife, though, is it?
No. And I will not tell her you said that.
it's probably a good thing.
But Tim Cook is wasting so much time on PR, and dude, just go to your office and lead the company. Forget what the people think about you. Just get stuff done. I think Cook is too focused on the other aspect of it.
Well, it's like with focused on the other aspect. Remember the gun emoji?
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now it's a water gun.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I cannot properly
Their
express
response
this
was
someone. Look at
because
mine.
it was violent. But when you think about it, okay, all the other companies still use the gun emoji. And this was like 2 years ago.
But it has a bomb,
Yeah.
True.
The bomb is still there.
And it's got knives and it has swords.
Yep.
And then a water pistol.
Yep.
Well, we're getting into political discussion there, but that's I don't.
But I'm trying to get to the point that he's always worried about image.
Yeah.
Guns
And currently,
are-
that's his
image.
mark. That's his reputation right now. He's going to be the guy that took away the gun emoji, raised the prices like insane amounts, only so that 5 years from now he can start downpricing stuff like Jobs did. Just mark my words. He's going to be the hero that offers the iPhone XSL 5 for lower prices than before.
So he's trying to mishandle what Jobs already did. He's trying to recreate it, but in a bad way. Because
he's trying so hard not to be in Jobs' shadow and inadvertently he still ends up doing the same stuff.
He's always in Jobs' shadow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it doesn't matter who you stick in that job, they're going to be in job shadow because to be honest with you, I don't think there ever is going to be somebody that's going to be, he was actually innovative. He actually came up with some good damn ideas before we knew we needed them,
Yeah.
Well, now wait. This just came to my mind because it just popped in my head randomly. I know we discussed some.
Uh-oh.
Not that head. But,
Nothing good ever happens when you say that. But, go ahead.
But, all right, let's think about this. Let's say, hypothetically, Tim Cook right now, he could get out of Steve Jobs' shadow very easily. Let's say he striked up some backroom deal with Nokia, and Nokia's got that flexible screen and could wear it. What if he sat there and took that and actually released the new, and I don't know, whatever he'd call it, the around your wristy thingy-majiggy, I don't know, and made an iPhone that would go around your wrist. It would be a full-fledged iPhone. You would no longer need the iWatch. You'd no longer need the iPhone. You'd have both right there, and it would be completely revolutionary.
It would be.
But he's not. He's not going that road to strike his mark in history.
Well, apart from everybody having wrist cancer within 5 months, Yeah, I know what you're saying, though. And Daryl says in the chat that I will be remembered like Jobs, but Cook won't. And I don't know.
I think, and here's one question also. What do you guys think of Craig Ferdinand?
I love that dude. He should be the face of Apple. He should be the spokesperson because he has a personality. Like, I watch the keynote now,
Uh-huh.
and I wait for him to get up on stage because he's not
because
stammering,
basically,
and you know,
it's just a copy of Steve Jobs' keynote. When Tim Cook gets up there, it's almost the same as what Jobs does.
I just want to like flick him in the nose to get some expression out of the dude. And
There you go.
yeah, no, Frederici should be the face of Apple. Let Tim Cook run it behind the screens. Air Force One, he should be on stage all the time.
I agree.
In Cook's defense, I would have to say he is a very good CEO, as in running the company. Idea-wise, no.
Yeah.
But he is a very successful person that has had a very long history of running companies, making them work.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Let him run the show. Just stay off the stage.
Well, so did John Scully and Gil Amelio, but see what they did.
True.
You need an innovator to actually innovate, and you need a businessman, quote unquote, to run the business, or businesswoman.
Yeah.
I'm cool with either, but
yeah, don't be sexist, bro.
yeah.
But just switching gears, because we were just talking about innovation and all that, and Mike was saying they should have left the Mac Pro alone. Speaking of Mac Pro, there was a very popular discussed item on, I think it was Mac Pro Upgrade Facebook group, where someone said, why would you upgrade your Mac Pro instead of turning it into a Hackintosh? And I think that turned into a pretty lengthy thread with a lot of...
It's still going.
Yeah, I think so.
It's still going.
So, what do you guys think?
Well, legal standpoint, for instance, with the EULA, OS 10, Mac OS only can run on an Apple device. And it's actually usually easier to run it on an Apple device, even if it's not an officially supported Apple device.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like a 3.1 Mac Pro.
Right.
It will still run. And, it may need patched and stuff. But basically, my opinion is it's really how much pain you're willing to suffer through and how much money you're willing to spend. Because, for instance, the 5.1, the top performing one, will outperform the trash can, the low end trash cans, no problem. But it won't outperform even the mid range trash cans, fully maxed out, except maybe on GPU if you upgrade that. And basically, if you're doing all that, you got to think about the fact that there are systems out there that are even way more powerful than that, and the most powerful trash can by a long shot. And Hackintoshing could be a good idea, and it could. It's still going to cost a lot if you really want a really high-end rig, but it could be beneficial. But you've got to consider the fact you've got to get every single piece of hardware to work properly, or figure out workarounds around that. Plus, you're avoiding the EULA, and basically telling Apple to come at you if they decide to finally do
we might get a copyright strike just talking about this.
Exactly.
There you go.
So when
It's
it
a good
comes
thing
to
I'm
all
not,
this, this is the reason why I bought a 4.1 Mac Pro, because I don't want to deal with all that. I mean, I have Hackintoshed in the past, but it's just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I know. But having an actual Apple hardware supported system, the most you'll ever have to do, hopefully, is just run a patcher. Unless the hardware totally just does not support the operating system, like a 2.1 Pro, where you're stuck at El Capitan, you're always going to have a system that will run the latest if you upgrade it a little bit. That's my views on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went with the reliability argument on that thread. It's and we're not getting there. We are at the point where even the strongest 5.1 is not going to stack up against a properly configured iMac Pro.
Sure.
It's been 6+ years, and we're finally at the point where hardware is catching up. And I think so far it's only the iMac Pro that is able to run circles around a Mac Pro, fully upgraded.
I agree.
The classic Mac Pro. So for me, I'm still running the stock chips in here. This is a dual 3.06 12 core. I don't do anything apart from browse the web, Photoshop a little, and if I'm lucky, this will last me another decade, and even then, I could put the 5690 chips in here at that point and still have another decade to go. But for people that need the ultimate performance, where every second matters, I would not bother. If that was me, I would not bother Hackintoshing my Mac Pro just because it looks cool. I would go out and buy a top-of-the-line PC or an iMac Pro with a beefy eGPU on it. I don't see the purpose, or I don't see the point of Hackintoshing a Mac Pro or a G5. Just put that money and that time into building a proper system that can last you a while and do it right from the beginning. But that's just me.
I see that David, just pulling this in here, he was asking, how is your 4.1 project going? And I believe that's a question to Grudy. So,
Yeah.
he needs more supporters.
David, my 4.1 project has been halted for a while because, well, I don't have any money to do it. But I do now have I have it sitting right next to me, a Vega 56 to stick in it. It's dual 8 pins, and that's where it involved the Pixeless mod here. And I literally have not had time to film it. But I will be filming that, and that will be coming up soon. And I'm looking forward to doing that. And basically, my biggest issue right now is I don't have a whole lot of RAM. So I need a lot of RAM to do the stuff I do. So the 4.1 is literally sitting right next to me, just collecting dust right now. But the video series is coming back in the next month or so. So.
The chat just popped up with Matthew saying, I recently bought an early 09 MacBook Pro 17-inch. I tried to run the Mojave Collins patch, but the Apple loading screen, it fills the progress bar and freezes. High Sierra with the patcher. So I don't know if it's Mojave or High Sierra, but he gets a no icon. I think he means the prohibits the circle with the slash on it.
Right.
I just did my 09 17-inch, and it worked great with the patcher. So I don't know. What could this be? Firmware? Or
there's no guarantee that it's going to work for every machine either, though.
That's true.
No, it's probably, it sounds more like a hardware issue.
Could it be not enough RAM installed for the patcher to work?
No.
There was no specific on the amount of RAM, so that's somewhat possible because that
Matthew, have you tried rerunning the patcher? Like, after you install it, you made sure all the patches that need to be installed are installed, right? Because in that case, if not all of them are installed, you'll get that symbol. The platform support plist patch is one of the most important ones for your particular hardware, and if that's not patched, you'll get that symbol.
I'm just making sure mine is at early 09 because I'm not sure anymore. I don't want to be a liar on live stream.
Looks like Neo B, while you're looking that up, he says, hey guys, iMac 2012 question. I went to church last night and it wasn't booting. Well, that's because the drives weren't showing up and then suddenly it started booting. Possible hard disk drive failure running 1014. That's hard to say, actually. You would want to run I would want to say disk utility is the first, but quite honestly, I don't think that's your best test option. I'm not for sure what most use from the Mac realm. Mine comes from the Linux realm, so I will let the others, like Greg, chime in on that one.
He was busy chatting, so he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, I listened to all. I'm just, I can't think of what could be causing it. Unless, like for instance, the SATA cable just fried itself. I mean, the chances the hard drive had gone bad, it's possible. If it's going bad, you'll still sometimes get it to boot and still get it to show up. But it just altogether not showing a drive could be a lot of things. And basically, you've just got to let it, just have to kind of watch and see what it does for the next few days and before we can really come up with an idea for it.
Do you think Mojave might have something to do with that? Possibly with the APFS?
Maybe. APFS has been known to mess up a lot of Macs. A lot of Macs. And I actually think there was, it was an iMac. I remember that. I can't remember if it was the 2012 or 2013. The APFS was messing up the partitions, the layout of the partitions on the iMac, preventing Boot Camp not working at all. And who knows, that might have actually corrupted something in the drive. If anything, if you have a backup of your system, you may want to reinstall.
Sorry, I don't know if that's visible, but I lied. This is a mid-2009 17-inch. So, I don't know if it's going to work on the early 09.
It should.
It should.
Same hardware, as far as I know.
But if it works on this one, it should definitely work. Well, not definitely, but
like I was saying, with all that, if you have a backup of the system, I'd suggest doing a clean install and seeing if that fixes everything, and then just restoring your old install over to it.
That's a good segue, too, because there's another thing that we could talk about, Mojave itself, because I personally don't run it, and I'm not going to run it for quite a while. And I know that Greg T, he runs Mojave. Obviously, Jay does on that machine, but I'm absolutely refusing to run it, even though I possibly could on my 3.1. But
you're an NVIDIA guy.
Hell yeah.
Reasons, yeah.
I love Mojave. I think actually 10.14.0 ran better than the latest 0.1 update. The upgrade for me on my Mac Pro has been, and my MacBook Pro, not this one, but my 2015, has been so smooth. Mm-hmm. There were times I forgot I was running the new system because it was just pretty much flawless, at least in my use. So I'm pretty happy with it.
On the High Sierra train since day one, basically. Well, after 0.1, I think, came out, but still. I'm still on High Sierra on most of my Macs. I only run Mojave on this MacBook Pro and this MacBook in my lap. And Mojave I like it. And honestly, I think 0.1 is working better than 0.0, Jay.
I actually...
There was a lot of software issues.
I had none, but right now, there is a certain TNT file in my trash, and I can empty the trash 600 times. It's still there. I forgot his name, but he deleted his trash can. I cannot empty my trash can. And that stuff didn't happen in 0.0, in the initial release.
I've never had a problem emptying anything in my trash can, so sure it's not a file that's kind of linked to something that...
I don't know. This brings me back to OS 9 days where you have locked items in your trash, and you have to go in and click the little lock box, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've learned in the past that if you delete it from another system, it will usually delete it.
yeah, I'm not going through all that just to Come on.
So what's Greg T's take on this? Because he's also another Mojave user, unlike me.
I actually have Mojave on all of my updated Macs, including, I shouldn't say this much, but I have the beta of Mojave on my other one. And the only reason why I say that because it's not the public beta. It's it's a different beta program that Apple actually invites you into actually do. So I really can't. I can't tell. I can say that I'm in the program, but I can't tell you what I'm doing in the program. That's because they got a non-disclosure statement you have to sign and all this other crap.
I never realized that was actually an Apple program.
It is. It's called the Appleseed program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
have their own little forums and everything that we all, as Appleseed testers, can talk to each other and bounce ideas off of everybody and find out if somebody else is having a problem. But so far, I mean, the beta that I have and I have it on my 2012 iMac, and it's been running fine. In fact, I think it works better than High Sierra did on this iMac because High Sierra was slow and painful on this 2012, but Mojave actually sped it up a little bit.
Wow.
I'm not seeing any lag anymore, and it's the boot time is a lot quicker too because before it would take about like 4 to 5 minutes to boot this 2012 iMac with High Sierra.
What?
Oh yeah, it took forever.
Then your install was borked.
Okay.
Well,
I would say it doesn't even take me that long to boot my MacBook
I
on
reinstalled
High
it several
Sierra.
times. I don't know what it is with this one, but once I put Mojave on it, boom, I get instant boots almost now. So I don't have problems with it anymore.
Well, one of the good points that David just brought up is the NVMe booting on Mac Pros. That's a very big plus. I don't use it myself. I'm still... I don't even know what's in there. It's not a SATA drive. It's the long... I don't know.
M.2.
Yeah, that one. But a lot of people seem very happy with NVMe.
Well, Athlon, I have Mojave for the dark mode also. I like dark mode, but I also love the stacks feature because I put a lot of crap on my desktop, and it basically keeps everything organized now.
The thing you're not supposed to do.
And getting back to Matthew, he says that he tried the High Sierra patch and still got the prohibited symbol. That sounds like you're just not patching it. Once you install it, you have to boot back into the installer drive and run the patcher. And sometimes it doesn't take and you have to run it again. Basically, if anything, there's a lot of tutorials online. I've done a few too that can help you. Colin, of course, the creator, has done a lot of tutorials online about it, and that should help you out with trying to get the patcher to work because it should work.
Now there's one.
I just used the patcher.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I just used the High Sierra patcher twice in my MacBook, and yeah, I didn't do the post install stuff the first time, and Jay reminded me to do that because I was a tired idiot. But other than that, I mean, it works smooth as could be.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I will say that I was going to introduce there, and I'm kind of anybody that knows me from LEM, I'm kind of a broken record on this method, but it works on about every Mac you can name. One thing you might try: reinstall 10.6.3 if you get the retail copy. Upgrade it to 10.6.8. That's very important. It has to be upgraded to 10.6.8. That will get a certain firmware patch installed, and then do an upgrade install, an in-place upgrade install to 10.11 El Capitan. Then after that, see if the patcher will install and work properly. The reason I say that is firmware modifications, changes, patches, whatever, that take place in benchmarks. And it might be that your firmware doesn't have whatever's necessary to make that work properly, and doing that will freshen it up and get it going. Also, flash your PRAM, flash your
NVRAM.
there you go, and your your SMC and NVRAM. Yeah. Well, you can't do NVRAM except on there's that NVRAM trick on the PowerPCs, but on that one it's just a PRAM reset.
Right, but it's not called PRAM anymore. It's called NVRAM.
Okay, technical.
Shame on you.
Same difference.
I'm still here, by the way. I just am now in a very dark room, so you can't see me anyway. So I turned my camera off.
Well, we could see your little icon like glowing, and it's moving.
You know what I would love? Custom stuff for FaceTime. Like I want this instead of a circle with a ring around it. I want it to look like Kit from Knight Rider or something. That would be badass.
I'd like to have the Cylon head on there with the eye going back and forth.
Oh,
That'd be awesome.
Suggestions for Tim Cook.
Yeah. When you're not too busy saving the planet.
So, do we want to move to our next topic there, Jay, or not?
Yes. Can you figure out what that is? Because I'm not currently in my office anymore.
Let's see. Here it is. Mac fan control.
Ooh.
How do you keep your Mac cool? What is your best fans control app? Myself personally, I use the Mac fans control on most of my Macs, except for the one I use the what is it called, the TP, whatever it is. I don't know.
TG Pro.
TG Pro. That's it. Yeah. But they all do about the same thing, and you can pretty much customize it to when the fans come on and stuff like that. But on my MacBook Pro, the fans only go up to they go up to like 7,500 RPMs, but the iMacs only go up to 2,700 RPMs.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But like right now, I'm looking at it. Actually, I can't see it on this screen here. It's on my other screen, so I can't really see the temperature right now. But the temperature on my iMac 2017 stays pretty low because I keep the fans running, especially when we're doing a broadcast like this and a lot of video rendering and stuff like that. But I manually put it to max out the fans, which is like 2,400 or 2,700 RPMs. And it keeps it pretty damn cool. I don't think I get above like 50 to 60 degrees Celsius on this thing.
That's not bad.
No. But on my MacBook Pro, even if I'm doing something very intensive or very CPU intensive or graphic intensive, even if I max out the fans at 7,400 or 70, I think it's 7,200 or something like that, it still climbs up to about 80 degrees Celsius. So that tells you that the way they design those MacBooks, as thin as they are not good for thermal at all.
Oh, agreed. Especially if you don't connect the fan to anything.
Well, that's the new MacBook, or that's the new MacBook Air. It's not connected to anything.
Yeah.
Well, neither was the MacBooks, because they just, to cool the CPU, it's just that little block of metal, and then there's a fan.
Well, the MacBook has no fan at all. The MacBook.
Well, I'm talking the one prior to the current one.
Well, the one prior to the current one did have a fan, and I think it did have a heat sink or a heat pipe going to the fan. With a radiator.
And there was what was his name? Luis Ramos did a video.
Ramos? What?
Yeah, that's the only reason I know is because he was jerking around with one, and he's like, "Look at the heatsink on this," and I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah,
that new video that we saw where the guy compared three different, the Air versus the MacBook versus the MacBook Pro. When he opened up the MacBook Air, he said the fan was not even connected any shape or form to the CPU. The CPU had a little small heatsink die on it, but the fan was just basically sucking in cold air and blowing it out through one little vent in the back. It had one fan.
Yeah. And imagine you're using that Mac on your lap like most people do with a laptop, or on your bed on a fluffy pillow or whatever. You cannot control where it's going to suck that air from. It's either going to come through the keyboards, left side or right side. So if you block the right side, the airflow is not even going to go past the CPU in this case.
Exactly.
But as for me, I have used all fan control apps out there. You got SMC fan control, you got iStat menus, you got Max fan control, and you got, for me, the undisputed king, TG Pro. And they all serve a purpose, but why I prefer TG Pro, especially on Macs with multiple fans and sensors in it, is you can set 50 rules based on every single sensor you want, or a combination of, and adjust fan behavior like that. On a MacBook Pro, which is already a thermal nightmare, it doesn't really matter if you use TG Pro, because that thing is going to run hot no matter what. So something like Max Fan Control, where you just set it based on the CPU or the GPU, is enough. But on a classic Mac Pro with a bunch of fans and different compartments and all that, or an older iMac, or well, even the newer iMacs, where you can set the single fan behavior based on the CPU or the hard drive or the graphics card, I think TG Pro has a clear advantage over all the other ones.
Well, the newer iMacs have only one fan, so you're basically you're not really going to control much except how fast the fan can go.
Right, but if you use Max Fan Control and you set your fan behavior based on the CPU temperature, if your GPU is starting to cook when you're doing a render, but the CPU is cool-ish, your fan is not going to ramp up. Whereas as you use TG Pro, it'll monitor both the CPU and the GPU, or your RAM.
I agree with you on that.
You know?
Yeah.
But it is the case that most Macs, even MacBook Pros, to a point, can stay relatively cool, at least under throttling temperatures, if you ramp up the fans fast enough. If they are already hot by like 80, 90 degrees by the time the fans start to ramp up, you're already too late. You're not going to bring it back down.
Yeah.
But if your CPU is 40 degrees and you max them out before you start rendering, it stays cool a lot longer.
Now, I agree with Jay on that one, but here's where I differ a little bit. I do love TG Pro. I love it. I think it's a great program. It worked phenomenally on the iMac because I got to set, hey, maximum temperature, anything hits it, ramp up. However, on the Mac Pro, I've actually preferred to use Mac Fan Control, not just because it's free and I'm cheap as dirt, but
yes, it is.
Actually, I tried Mac Fan Control, but I preferred still to use, I'd use TG Pro. I still preferred to use Mac Fan Control for this reason. I actually set everything based upon certain criteria of a specific sensor because, unfortunately, there's a few sensors on at least the 3,1 that do actually come up as a half sensor, like the MCP diode. And, it throws my the TG Pro completely out the window when I try to use the all setting. But going back to like what you were saying about the temperatures and running a Mac cool, my 3,1, I'm sitting here, that sucker, I never see it get above 30 because of the way I've got my fans set. And that's just nothing in it goes above 30. I mean, if I see a 40, that is top marks for temperature, but nothing runs hot in this thing. And that's just because I keep the fans going.
And I think because you're missing a processor.
Basically, the programs I use, I've tried SMC fan control. I never liked it. Max fan control I use on basically every I have that can use it. And I've never actually tried TG Pro.
What?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't. But Max Fan Control, for what I need it for, it seems to work fine, especially on my Pro. I can set it up to just run all the fans at whatever setting I need it at. Mike.
Oh, Mike's cat.
Safety problems.
And I like Mac's fan control because it's even Windows compatible, and I use. Well, yeah, but I need it for certain things in Windows, and it's very handy.
I'd agree with that too. That's another plus to Mac's fan.
Yeah, because I do actually have it in my boot camp partition where I actually have Max fan control on there so I can actually control the fans. Because, believe it or not, there's nothing really out there that's Windows-based that you can run on a Mac, for instance, that you can control the fans like that. And I think Max fan control is the only thing right now that I can think of that thought of it,
Speed fan doesn't even work in Windows.
What's that?
Now I wonder what Mike uses.
I hear some really creepy breathing in the mic at the moment.
I think that's Mike.
Mike, what are you doing over there?
I'm trying to get my MacBook to come back on.
And how are you attempting to do that?
Trying to get my MagSafe to work.
Okay.
What's wrong with your MagSafe?
I don't know. It's flaky for some reason.
It sounds like you need a new MagSafe.
I would agree with you.
Well, at least he has
the
a
wire.
MagSafe because the new MacBooks don't have it anymore.
Oh, that's true.
True.
Yeah.
Now, that's stupid because now, when I just got up now, I tripped over my cord. If I wouldn't have had a MagSafe, I probably would have had a laptop on the floor.
Well,
Wire.
I know we're getting off subject a little bit here, but to be honest with you, my wife, her MacBook Pro, because she's got the same one as me, with all it's got is USB-C. We were at a hotel room when we were taking a trip to Maryland to see her mom. She actually got out of bed and yanked it off the bed, and guess what happened? The cord bent. No, it bent.
Oh.
The USB-C cord, but it didn't damage the MacBook, thank goodness. But still, it pulled the MacBook off the bed because it doesn't quick disconnect anymore.
Anyone remember the Mac versus PC video
Yes.
commercial where they were talking about how MagSafe was so great because PC walks in like a full body cast?
Yeah.
Someone walked into the room and yanked them to the ground. And
Yeah, that's.
We were talking about innovation right there. That is a perfect example of some awesome innovation that nobody else
that's a perfect
has.
example of
Agreed.
Apple going away from good innovation to bad innovation.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean,
you guys
now
hear and see me, by the way?
I have one of these just to actually replace the USB, the MagSafe. This is a secondary product you have to get to actually do what the MagSafe did.
And that's sad.
Why did Jay disconnect and reconnect?
He
I don't
was
know.
Because I don't think you guys can see me.
No, we can.
Now we can.
Fine.
You were fine before.
I don't see myself on the stream. So how can you see me?
Because you're probably down, not talking. You were down the bottom.
Oh, there I am. Yeah, now I just popped up. I'm vain, man. I need to see myself at all times.
Anyway, where were we?
Oh my God.
Well, we got off the subject, but we got one more topic to talk about if we want to go for there.
Okay.
Let me pull it up.
Any more questions from the chat?
I haven't been looking.
I can see.
Jay, you are back and gone. Yes, we can now. Okay. Apparently, David was saying you were gone.
Did someone talk about Neo's MagSafe LED?
Sometimes it doesn't, but the light is really dim green color.
That's what mine does.
That might be a battery issue. It's pretty common with knockoff batteries or really old batteries.
Yeah,
I would
probably
look into that first.
It's trying to charge so much and it's pulling so much power that it's not really letting the rest of the system get anything.
Pulling too much on that one wire circuit.
Yep.
Yep.
Anybody that's watched Louis Ramos knows what that is.
Okay, you need to
Rossman.
stop. It's Rossman, not Ramos.
Rossman.
Sorry.
Ramos.
That's like calling Tim Cook Tom Cook. Who does
I'm
that?
gonna have to tag him. I'm gonna have to tag him in here and say you need to come watch this video and see Rocky just butcher your name.
Yeah, right.
I'm named Rocky, for crying out loud. What do you expect?
Adrian.
You know.
All right, last topic of the night we got is up on the screen there, Jay. So you want to go for it?
Oh, when I think there's something that Rocky brought up, or Rocky and I were talking about it in the discussion, is when should knowledge be shared freely, and when should it be paid? Like we all contribute a lot to the Facebook groups we're in. You know, if someone needs help, there's like 100 people jumping in there trying to help out, and when should that stop? And when should you start charging for that knowledge that you're trying to share? And when should it be free?
It's a really,
That's a tough one.
really hard answer.
Yeah, that's why you go first.
Well, with most of my knowledge, I share it freely. That's the whole reason why I started my YouTube channel.
Right.
And basically, most of the knowledge I know, I learned from Google and YouTube. So, you know, I just, for instance, with my channel, I just combine all that knowledge I've learned from Google and YouTube into one cohesive, understandable pile. And when it comes to, like, being paid for it, knowledge, for instance, Colin's Muck's hat, you know, that's something that he's actually freely sharing all of that, but it's something he could actually just be paid for.
Well, he's going to sell them.
Well, he is selling,
Yeah.
but that's something physical he's selling. So I think that he should be paid for that because he should be giving away that because he's basically paying to make those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like he didn't come up with the idea. He found all the information on different forums and combined it together and made the stuff. The
Right.
stuff made, you know, that could. He's still doing it free sourced, you know, and I respect that. But things like that where that's something you could really be paid for, you know. You know, trade secret. But
Right. It's the same with me. Before I joined, I think it was Mac Pro Upgrade Facebook group. I had no idea the Pixlos mod existed. I had no idea it was a thing because I never touched my graphics card. I was skating by just fine on the stock card in here. And what is that noise?
yeah, what is that noise?
Is that you, Mike?
Mine?
Why is it always me?
It is. That's just how it works. And I turned that into a blog post, and you know, because I thought it was, I got all the information from Mac Rumors and other sites, and I put it in a post with 1,001 pictures, and pushed it back out there. Because you know that's just giving back to the community where I got the information from in the first place. But, you know, when I ran my company, people hired me specifically for the knowledge I had about Macs and maintaining them and all that. That's when I charged for my knowledge.
Right.
So I think it's, for me, it comes down to business and personal. Like I do all this Facebook stuff and blogging and YouTube and frying all my processor cards in my spare time. I don't expect to get paid for that. But if someone calls me and said, hey, my business is in trouble, can you come fix it? Yeah, here's the invoice. I think that's just black and white how it is for me.
Yep.
Yep, and I firmly agree with that. The thing is, I mean, I would love more than anything to be able to sit there and just share my knowledge with everyone and anyone and have no recourse on that at all and be able to survive and live and do what I do. The problem is, just like a teacher or anyone else, if I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be pulled in front of, I mean, and a good example is, you know, I think what we were talking about is I was looking at going to, you know, I'm in the process of going to work for another company again. and that said company or another company is not going to pay me the X amount of dollars that I'm worth based upon the knowledge level that I have. And therefore, I go into that company and they say, oh, well, teach this dude how to, do some type of low level solder, or teach them how to do this. That is a network high level, admin. I'm configuring a server. Sorry, for this amount of money? No. What it says in the job description does not include this. Therefore, I'm not going to do this task, even though I will turn around tonight, go on a group with a bunch of other people who are interested in this, and be happy to provide similar knowledge. Granted, I don't provide it with warranty or any kind of whatever.
Right.
But that's that disconnect and difference. It's like, well, wait a minute. I have to be able to make a living on what I know and what I can do. And unfortunately, there's a huge disconnect between being able to survive and share your knowledge. You can't just walk into a company and say, oh, sure, I'll share everything I've got, because they'll go, oh, great, work 60 hours, 80 hours a week and share it with everybody and their brother, and then you're fired when you're done.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on this subject?
No, I pretty much agree with all of you guys. I mean, but again, it's all debatable on what people are willing to pay for your knowledge. That's the key question right there. I mean, if there's stuff out there that you're like what Greg does, on his channel there, is basically stuff that's already out there, and he just shows it in practical use. You know what I'm saying? So,
oh, yeah.
The point is that if it's already out there, why would somebody spend money to get your knowledge when they could just go to like iFixit, and it's right there,
Well, it's also convenience. For example, there's a member in Macro Upgrade, for example, that runs a company in Europe that focuses on upgrading classic Mac Pros and makes a very good living off it, even though people can buy the parts themselves, do it all themselves, including the Pixels mod. But, there are people out there that prefer to pay someone to do it. Now, even though I wrote a guide, not the guide, but a guide on the Pixels mod, for example, if someone asked me to do it for them, I'm going to charge you for it.
Oh, yeah.
I give you everything you need to do it yourself, including where to order the stuff, step by step. If you still want me to do it, at that point, I'm going to charge for my time.
Yeah.
That's where I got that from.
Yeah, and there's a guy that made a YouTube video based on the guide that I wrote from the information that I collected from other sources. And, he's paying it forward again in his way in a video.
And I agree totally
Your source is what my videos were based off of.
Yeah.
Now, I think Mike would have an interesting take on this, too, because he comes from a slightly different industry than the three of us. Plus, Greg T, he comes from a more military industry. And then Mike comes from a more automotive, whereas the three of us, Jay and Greg H and myself, we're more of the IT industry, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I am actually in the IT industry. I just don't do it anymore. So I actually got out of it about 15 years ago because the market just got too saturated. But I don't charge, in terms of, and my industry is almost similar to the IT industry. I have a particular knowledge of automobiles, and I have a particular knowledge of computers as well. The computer knowledge, typically, I tell anybody they need to know, because I work mostly with classic stuff. So I'm always glad to help somebody out who wants to learn and keep these old computers going. Now, if you drop a computer on my doorstep and say, "Hey, my hard drive died. Can you replace it?" That I'm going to charge for. Okay, I don't charge so much for the knowledge. I charge more for the labor to apply said knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's really really in the automotive, in my garage, I'm the same way. I have no problems telling a customer how to check something or how to fix something if it's something that they can fix themselves. I mean, we have a lot of respect for people who want to try to fix their own vehicles. Um, and truthfully, we have more than enough business. It doesn't really hurt us too much either. Uh, it can somewhat, but it's something we can manage. But if you drop your car off and say, "Hey, my alternator went out. I need you to replace it." There's not a line item on the invoice that says knowledge fee $65. It's going to say labor,
Yeah.
and that's really what I'm charging for.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's I mean, like, I know how to work a car, but I still take it to the mechanic up the road because, honestly, he's got the experience, and I would prefer he do it while I spend my time doing something more valuable to what I know.
Exactly, and it's also it's not so much the knowledge that I retain; it's also the equipment that I maintain.
Exactly.
And it's the same way in the computer industry. I mean, yeah, okay, so everybody's got a Phillips screwdriver. That's great, okay, but how many people have a T6 torch just laying on their desk? You know, well, I'm sure all five of us do. But I'm just saying this is not a. I mean, how many people have a 3 foot long T15 sitting on their desk? To crack open a 20 or 30-year-old Macintosh.
I actually bought one of those.
I made one. I made one in high school, actually, out of a piece of plastic and a little rod. Yep, there you go.
Hey,
So, that's the kind of stuff that's the kind of stuff I'm going to charge for. I'm going to charge, using the tools and applying the knowledge to repair your device. That's the kind of stuff that I do. Now I'm starting to get into iDevice repair now.
Oh God.
Okay, guys. So we're going to take one more question before we start wrapping everything up, and there is a question on here by Quixer20 asking if it's possible to run OS 9 on an iMac 17-inch model, the 1 gigahertz.
The lamp shade, like I have back behind me here.
Yeah.
Here. Right there.
Actually, yes, it is possible. But it's a headache. There is a ROM out there called the iMac ROM. I mean, iMic ROM, which will, what you do is you install it with a supported system, an OS 9 supported system, install it onto the drive through target disk mode, and then you drop the iMic ROM into it, and then you can boot into OS 9 on that particular system. But you won't have graphics acceleration, even though the GPU is actually an OS 9 supported GPU. For some reason, it doesn't work. Plus, I don't think you can get sound out of it, but it will run OS 9.
It's a big pain. No, I've tried to do it on this one right here, and like you said, it's a big pain. And I basically run Tiger on that thing, and I run Classic, and it runs all the OS 9 stuff pretty good. I mean,
yeah, but sometimes you do have to run OS 9 for certain things, so I see why he'd be asking. And honestly, there's probably a patch out there. There are some custom installers out there that might be able to do it without having to do all the stuff I just suggested, but that's how I did it to mine. And there might be a patch out there now. There's been a lot of developments with OS 9. There might be a patch out there now that will allow the graphics to work properly. So it's possible, but I wouldn't recommend it right now unless there's something out there that one of us have missed.
So is that, do you use that ROM in conjunction with the Mac OS 9 image, or any OS 9 installer will work at that point?
Well, the best way to do it with that ROM, because there are actually third-party installers out there now that I think will work on any unsupported G4 to a certain degree anyway. But the way that works is it's really a drop-in after you install it. That's why you need a supported Mac first.
Gotcha. Man, I was hoping that my raid would be done before the stream ended. but I'm still at 99% initializing.
Now it's going to sit there until you lose power. Watch.
Dude, don't. Oh, dude. Oh.
Jay would travel to Arizona. And
I will go Liam Neeson on your ass if that happens.
anyway, guys, so you want to start wrapping it up with
Do we want to talk about the cool LEM post of the week?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
can segue to next
now,
week.
I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing. I do want to highlight, like we did with Collins, Moxhead, and stuff. I want to highlight something that will benefit people every week, but I don't know if we're going to be able to find a really cool post in one of the groups we're in every week. But we have one now that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's coming up on the screen.
Yeah. And Greg Rutke is going to tell you all about it.
Hey, what now? I didn't talk to you guys about this.
No, you know Tom.
Well, yeah, I know Tom. Tom's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Tom, I don't know what Tom does. I think he runs a reseller company in the UK. It's a small one. He basically gets older Macs, restores them, and sells them. And he does pretty good. He makes, I guess he makes a good amount of money on it. And Tom got a huge job lot, this one right here, and it's pretty cool. But we were talking the other day, and earlier today, actually. We've been talking about this. Our plans with Mac Yak, the channel, which this video will be on after the fact, because of all the problems.
Figure out how to live stream it.
Yeah. The idea with Mac Yak is it's not just going to be us. We're going to occasionally have guest stars. And yes, I keep wanting to say yesterday. Earlier today, Tom, I was posting about our live stream coming up, and Tom said he'd like to be in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave a link to his channel and stuff. Tom's channel is really awesome. I was actually watching him before I was even friends with him. And Tom, he wants to join in our live stream as a guest star next week, and we're going to accommodate him and hopefully have a very good chat with him.
We're charging him for it too.
Yeah, right. But we're looking forward to it. So we'll leave a link to Tom's channel. You guys should really check it out. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He even has a TAM and a whole lot of other stuff. And he does the occasional live stream and stuff. I love his channel, and he's a great guy, great person to talk to, and I think you guys will really enjoy having him on the stream next week. So.
Cool.
All right, guys. So, anything else before we start wrapping everything up?
Neil was asking what kind of interface the 11-inch MacBook Air uses, and I believe that is PCIe, from what Greg just said.
It depends. Now the older MacBook Airs use PCIe, and,
yes,
and you could pull out the little hard drive. Of course, in fact, they actually sold upgrade kits for that, and where they would actually have a enclosure where you could actually make it an external drive as well. However,
talking about the really
MacBook Airs, now all of it is soldered directly to the board, so there is no more SSD that you can actually remove or upgrade on the new MacBook Air.
Yep.
Right. He was talking about a 2011.
Yeah, 2011 has the PCIe.
Yeah, it's the M.2 Apple variant of it, which is I think a slightly different key.
Is it a 1214 or 1216? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It's the same thing as what I had in my Mac Pro, except
but they sell upgrade kits out there for it.
Oh yeah. You could find them all over the place. Just search for an upgrade kit for a MacBook Air, and they're all over the place. Google is your friend there.
Yep.
I think this is from 2011. These long, thin ones, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to count the pins for you, but this is PCIe.
The difference
Technically it's not
is
too, but still
you-
basically
different size on that.
So I honestly can't keep up. I got the long, thin ones. I got the wides ones that I think are for the MacBook Pro.
So contact Jay for $200 SSD. There you go.
Well, I have to test all these to make sure they work, but right now I don't even know what to stick them into. So I have to figure that out first.
You want me to send you that PCIe board that I've got for the Mac Pro?
Ooh, that would make... Yeah, I think that would be nice.
I'll send it to you because that's that one I got off Amazon that worked in mine. Uses those.
And you're not using it now because...
Because I sold the SSD.
Oh, okay. All right.
$250 on eBay.
Neo, if one of these turns out to be compatible with your Mac, I think there's 512 and 256 in there. Even a few 128. If they work and I can sell them because they don't belong to me, they're from where I work. I'll see if I can get you a good deal on one, and then you can let me know if you want it or not.
sounds like a good deal.
There you go. All right.
Why'd you have to go and ruin this, Neo, by mentioning Windows 10?
Oh, he's gonna puke now.
No. I'll behave.
All right.
Oh, getting it. Oh.
I'd say it's probably getting towards the time to wrap it up. It is 9:59, so
Yeah.
Jay is the host. He gets to be the mostest.
Yeah, because I'm so great at this stuff. Well, I don't think we have anything else to talk about. No more questions in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, because the live audience does make it a lot more interesting.
Yes, it does.
We haven't nailed down the topics for next week yet, so if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments once the video goes over to the right channel.
Yes.
Or shoot them to us on Facebook. You know, we post this stuff everywhere. And we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
See you guys.
there you guys.